If you want to understand the sheer, claustrophobic insanity of modern urban growth, you don't look at London or Tokyo, you look at Mumbai. Think of it as the New York City of the global south, a financial powerhouse where the dreams are tall, the rent is astronomical, and the space simply doesn't exist. For decades, Mumbai has been a victim of its own success. It's a city built on a narrow peninsula, hemmed in by the Arabian Sea on 3 sides, effectively trapping 20 million people on a sliver of land that was never meant to hold them. The result is what planners call the Mumbai Paradox. This is the home of the world's most expensive private residence, a billion-dollar vertical palace, and yet the billionaires living in it are stuck in the same gridlock as the rickshaws. It is a city where the stock market hums with the energy of a nuclear reactor, but the physical infrastructure is screaming for mercy. To put it in an American context, imagine if the entire population of the New York metropolitan area was forced to live and work exclusively on the island of Manhattan, with only a handful of aging arteries connecting them to the rest of the world. That is the daily reality of Mumbai. But India is tired of the bottleneck. They aren't just looking to fix the traffic. They are looking to reboot the entire concept of the Indian metropolis. They are shifting the center of gravity. And the big bang for this urban revolution isn't a new skyscraper or a park. It's an airport. Specifically, the Navi Mumbai International Airport. To the casual observer, it's just a massive construction site sitting in a swamp 25 miles away from the old city center. But to the visionaries behind it, this airport is the anchor for a shadow city, a planned, high-tech Aerotropolis designed to be a second Manhattan. This isn't just about landing planes, it's about manufactured territory. It is the blueprint for a new era of Indian power, rising literally from the mud and the muck of the mainland. To understand why you would choose to build a multi-billion-dollar gateway in a tidal swamp, you first have to understand the geography of desperation. In American urban planning, we talk about urban sprawl, the outward migration from a city center into the suburbs. Think of the way Chicago bleeds into its surrounding counties, or how Phoenix seems to stretch infinitely into the desert. But Mumbai doesn't have the luxury of the horizon. It is a city defined by its edges. If Old Mumbai is the historic, cramped heart of Manhattan, then the surrounding region isn't a sprawling Jersey City or a lush Westchester. It's a high-density, high-stakes jigsaw puzzle where every single piece is already locked in place. For over a decade, officials were on a desperate hunt for a site. They weren't looking for the perfect location. They were looking for any patch of dirt that didn't already have 1 million people living on it. In a city where land is more valuable than the buildings sitting on it, the search was a masterclass in frustration. Every potential site was either environmentally protected, politically untouchable, or physically impossible. By the time they settled on the site in Navi Mumbai, they weren't choosing a prime piece of real estate, they were choosing a fight. The site they eventually landed on was less of a construction lot and more of a frontier. It was a 4,500-acre wasteland of mudflats, mangroves, and a 300-foot-tall rock hill that sat right where the runways needed to be. Oh, and there was an entire river, the Ulwe, meandering through the middle of the property like it owned the place. To an American developer, this would look like a legal and environmental no-go zone. It's like trying to build JFK International in the middle of the Everglades, but with a mountain in the center of the terminal. But in the context of Mumbai's land scarcity, this wasn't a disaster. It was an opportunity. This nightmare site was the only place left where India could actually build at a global scale. It was a blank canvas made of mud and stone, and the only way to make the megacity dream a reality was to engage in a level of terraforming that would make a science fiction writer blush. In the world of civil engineering, we often talk about working with the land. But in Navi Mumbai, the land was the enemy. To build a world-class Aerotropolis, the engineers couldn't just work around the geography, they had to delete it. At the center of the site sat a 300-foot-tall monolith of solid basalt rock, the Ulwe Hill. In any other project, a hill like that would be a scenic backdrop or a park. Here, it was a 6.2 million cubic meter obstacle, sitting exactly where the main concourse needed to be. This wasn't a job for a bulldozer. It was a job for high explosives and a relentless 2-4-hour schedule of controlled destruction. The process of flattening a mountain is a symphony of violence and precision. For months, the site was defined by the rhythm of blasting and hauling. But here is where the project gets brilliant in its audacity. This wasn't just mindless destruction, it was a closed-loop recycling system on a planetary scale. You see, while the center of the site was a mountain, the edges were a soggy, unstable swamp. If they had tried to build on that mud, the runways would have buckled under the weight of a Boeing 777 within weeks. The solution? Use the mountain to kill the swamp. Engineers crushed the blasted basalt into specific fragments, creating a massive supply of high-grade fill material. They didn't just dump it. They used it to puncture the soft clay of the mangroves, compacting the earth and raising the entire ground level by nearly 20 feet. It's the ultimate Lego project. They took a vertical obstacle and turned it into a horizontal foundation. By the time they were done, they had moved enough rock to fill the Great Pyramid of Giza nearly 25 times over. But terraforming doesn't stop with the ground. You still have the water. The Ulwe River wasn't just a stream. It was a seasonal powerhouse that would have turned the runways into a lake during the monsoon. So, they did what modern engineering does best. They told the river to go somewhere else. They carved out a new 90-degree channel, widening the riverbed from 80 feet to nearly 650 feet to handle the inevitable floodwaters. This isn't just construction. It's a total reauthoring of the natural world. It's the kind of brute force engineering that built the Hoover Dam or the Panama Canal, a declaration that when the needs of the megacity collide with the laws of nature, the city is going to win. Once the dust from the explosion settled and the mud was tamed, the project moved from the realm of brute force engineering into the world of high-concept branding. In modern urbanism, an airport is more than a garage for airplanes. It's a statement of intent. For Navi Mumbai, the Indian government didn't just want a functional terminal. They wanted an icon that would scream global player to every investor stepping off a long-haul flight. To achieve this, they turned to the late Zaha Hadid's firm, the Starchitects known for turning fluid, organic shapes into impossible structures of steel and glass. The design is modeled after the lotus flower, the national symbol of India, but this isn't some literal, kitschy interpretation. It is a sophisticated exercise in the architecture of power. The terminal features a massive, curving 370-meter canopy roof that looks like a series of unfolding petals. From the air, it's a masterpiece of symmetry. From the ground, it's a cathedral of light. But look closer, and you'll see the engineering genius hidden within the aesthetics. Those petals aren't just for show. The roof is supported by a network of massive steel trusses and 17 giant columns hidden behind 12 petal-shaped pillars. This design allows for vast, open interior spaces, a column-free experience that makes the terminal feel more like a futuristic city square than a cramped waiting room. For the American viewer, this might bring to mind the sweeping curves of the TWA Flight Center at JFK, but scaled up to a terrifying degree. The Navi Mumbai terminal is designed to handle 90 million passengers. That's nearly the combined annual traffic of LAX and Chicago O'Hare. To pull that off, the architecture has to be more than pretty. It has to be a machine. Those signature skylights in the Lotus roof serve a double purpose. They flood the hall with natural light, reducing energy costs, but they are also designed to catch and channel the torrential monsoon rains that would otherwise overwhelm the structure. This is the megacity blueprint in action. By choosing a world-renowned architectural firm and a design that blends cultural heritage with high-tech materials, India is signaling that Navi Mumbai isn't just a regional overflow hub. It is a tier, one global gateway, a direct challenger to the dominance of Singapore's Changi or Dubai International. The lotus rising from the former swamp is a physical manifestation of a new Indian confidence, a belief that they can build something as beautiful as it is massive, proving that the country's financial capital is finally ready to host the world on its own terms. In the 20th century, the rule was simple. Cities built airports. You had a thriving metropolis like Chicago or London, and you placed an airport on the outskirts to serve the existing population. But in the 21st century, the script has been flipped. Now, airports build cities. This is the concept of the Aerotropolis, an urban form where the airport isn't just a peripheral utility, but the literal heart of the economy. For Navi Mumbai, the runways aren't the end of the story. They are the catalyst for a planned shadow city that is being built from the ground up to drain the congestion and the gravity away from the old center. Think of it like the ultimate corporate headquarters. By placing the Lotus terminal at the center, planners are creating a 4-hour urban ecosystem. We're talking about high-end hotels, massive tech parks, and logistics hubs all within a few miles of the gate. For a global CEO or a tech consultant flying in from San Francisco or Singapore, time is the only currency that matters. If they can land, take a 5-minute shuttle to a 5-star hotel, and conduct a meeting in a glass-walled office overlooking the runway, they never have to touch the old Mumbai. They avoid the 3-hour traffic jams and the crumbling infrastructure of the south. This megacity blueprint is designed to create a sterile, efficient, high-speed alternative to the chaos of the traditional Indian metropolis. This isn't just speculation, it's a massive real estate play. The land surrounding the airport is being developed as NAINA, the Navi Mumbai Airport Influenced Notified Area. It's a mouthful, but what it really means is a planned city larger than Mumbai itself. It's a master-planned vision that American viewers would recognize in places like Irvine, California, or Reston, Virginia-wide boulevards, dedicated green zones, and smart city infrastructure. By building the airport first, India is essentially creating a gravity well. The hope is that the sheer efficiency of the Aerotropolis will force the financial heart of India to migrate across the harbor, turning a former wasteland into the most valuable real estate on the subcontinent. It's a gamble that the future of India doesn't belong to the historic docks and colonial buildings of the past, but to the tarmac and the steel of the future. But here is where the megacity blueprint hits a wall of cold, hard reality. In the world of urban planning, there is a famous saying, "Connectivity is destiny." You can build the most beautiful, lotus-shaped terminal in the world, and you can terraform the earth to support it. But if people can't get there, you haven't built a gateway, you've built a gilded island. This is the connectivity gap, and it is the single biggest threat to the Navi Mumbai dream. As of right now, Phase 1 is open, the planes are landing, but the infrastructure required to actually move 90 million people is a work in progress, to put it politely. Let's look at the numbers. To bridge the gap between the old financial center and the new airport, India completed a staggering feat of engineering, the Atal Setu, or the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link. It is the longest sea bridge in the country, a $2 billion ribbon of concrete stretching nearly 14 miles across the bay. It's an American-style mega-project reminiscent of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. It looks great in drone footage, but there's a catch. If you're a traveler coming from the suburbs of North Mumbai or the business hubs of the south, even with this bridge, the drive to the new airport can still take up to 3 hours. In a world where the Aerotropolis is supposed to sell efficiency, a 3-hour car commute is a death sentence. The real megacity failure, at least for now, is the lack of rail. In any global tier 1 city, from London to Hong Kong to New York, a major airport is nothing without a high-speed rail or metro link. Yet, Navi Mumbai has opened its doors without a dedicated metro line connecting it to the city's existing network. The plans are on the books, sure, but on the books doesn't help a passenger carrying 3 suitcases through a taxi stand with poor mobile connectivity. It feels like a classic case of building the ego of the project, the terminal, and the runways before finishing the nervous system. By rushing Phase 1 into operation without a seamless rail connection, India is taking a massive gamble. They are betting that the sheer cool factor of the new airport will be enough to tide people over for the next 5 to 10 years, while the rest of the blueprint catches up. It's a build it, and they will come strategy. But in a city as congested as Mumbai, the question isn't whether they will come, it's whether they'll ever be able to leave. So, what is the final verdict on the Navi Mumbai megacity blueprint? Is this the birth of a new global titan, or a colossal monument to overambition? When you stand back and look at the sheer scale of what has been achieved, the mountain that was deleted, the river that was moved, and the Lotus terminal that now sits where a swamp once lived, it's impossible not to be impressed. This is engineering as a form of national destiny. India isn't just building an airport, it is literally manufacturing the ground upon which its future will be built. However, the Lotus is currently rising from a landscape of contradictions. On one hand, you have a Zaha Hadid masterpiece designed to rival the best in the world. On the other, you have a passenger base that might spend more time in a taxi getting to the airport than they do on their flight to Dubai or Singapore. The success of this megacity depends entirely on whether the government can close the gap between the vision and the reality. If the promised metro lines, the high-speed rail, and the Aerotropolis tech parks remain just lines on a blueprint for too long, Navi Mumbai risks becoming a beautiful but isolated island of concrete, a high-tech gateway to a city that is still stuck in traffic. But if they get it right, if the shadow city of Naina actually takes root, this project will be remembered as the moment the center of gravity in South Asia shifted. It would mean that Mumbai has finally broken free from its island prison and found a way to breathe. For the American observer, this is a front-row seat to the 21st century version of the frontier. It's messy, it's expensive, and it's fraught with logistical nightmares. But it is undeniably bold. The Navi Mumbai International Airport is a $2 billion bet on the idea that you can engineer your way out of any crisis if you have enough explosives, enough concrete, and a vision that refuses to be hemmed in by the horizon. As Phase 1 begins its journey toward that 9.0 million passenger goal, the world is watching to see if the Lotus will truly bloom, or if the swamp will have the final word.